right, you ready?
Ready.
Welcome back to the Daily Carry Podcast, episode number 23.
Hang on. I just realized you want the lights on or not?
You can just hit them on. It's okay. All right. We can keep rolling.
The lightsabers.
Yeah, there you go. If anybody who's watching, got to make sure we keep those visual aesthetics 100 with you guys. Now the lights are on for you. We don't have these on.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think they'll survive.
I think we have enough radiant glow.
I think that the set's still pretty cool. Even if you take the lights away, it's a pretty cool set. If you've never looked at it online and you've just watched the show, listened to the show rather, and you haven't taken any time to watch, maybe give it a look. It's kind of a cool aesthetic that we've got up here.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, Sarah. What?
Sarah.
Wait,
no,
for the coffee?
Actually, the coffee.
What?
Yeah.
The set? Are you kidding me?
The set is all Jared.
I will be honest. I did ask my wife. She was definitely getting to the point of being almost a little exhausted. I was like, "What do you think about these tables? What do you think? Should I just go with those chairs that I already have, or should I get two more?" And she's like, "We could definitely find two more of those ones because the ones that you and I are sitting on, I already had these.
Right.
I had these for probably like 3 years, and then when we were moving into our new house, I didn't have a spot for them, so." Well, we could probably use these for the podcast. They're pretty comfortable. And thankfully, we were able to find two more chairs, Facebook Marketplace. Then we found tables, Facebook Marketplace, and started piecing everything together. Microphones, podcast equipment, everything, and Facebook Marketplace.
Crazy. Yeah, if you went to Restoration Hardware and bought these tables for $3,000, Jared got them for $150.
That's right, $150.
That's probably my favorite part of the whole thing here. Chairs are super comfortable, but that's the grain in this thing, man. You got to see it up close. They're actually really cool tables.
You know what's super cool is some of the videos that I was working on clipping. Because if you guys don't know, we do have social media channels on every single platform. The Daily Carry is on TikTok, it's on X, it's on Facebook, Instagram. So if you didn't know that, go check it out. Give it a follow. We post short form content on those. We take clips from the podcast and we'll post them on there. But what's really cool is that episode that we did with putting all the guns on the table. Yeah. A lot of those clips turned out pretty cool because you just see the table just covered with different guns, and it's pretty attention grabbing, I think. So
gets a lot of hits too.
I think that those videos are going to do pretty well. But yeah, the tables look awesome, man, and I really do like the contrast in them, but I like how it kind of blends everything on the set together because the legs on them are black. The floor, obviously, up here on the mezzanine is black. But then we've got the brown chairs. We got the brown fancy headphones, which, by the way, was not even planned. That's literally what came with the podcast equipment that I bought used on Facebook Marketplace. They had these cool headphones with the brown leather. And it all kind of just blended together really, really well.
And it's coming into my favorite time of the year, so I get to wear fall. Rust is my favorite color because there's 20 different variations, like orange to red to ambers to browns. I could live if it was 75 degrees, 70 to 75 year round and 60 at night. I would live here.
Well, here's the thing. I love to wear flannel. I love to wear even just a polo, but I wear T-shirts pretty often. But I'm bringing that up because we're pivoting since you were talking about what you could wear. Well, I happen to be wearing a T-shirt today that has the Daily Carry logo.
We got to do a shout out too.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm wearing a T-shirt. Let me switch and pan the camera to me. I'm wearing a T-shirt with the Daily Carry logo, front left chest, and Daily Carry logo, this logo on the back of the shirt. And one of our listeners and one of our friends, Taylor Ratliff, he came and dropped off a whole bunch of shirts for us completely for free just to support the podcast. So thank you, Taylor. Yeah. Big shout out to you. If you guys need any T-shirts made, from what I understand, that's what he does. So look him up on Facebook.
I'm going to double shout out to him because he owns two businesses. So he has a marketing company where he does all the apparel and whatnot, and he does logos, really cool logos, actually. I think there was a gymnasium I saw that he just recently did. The whole wall is pretty epic. But he also owns a window washing company, and our church brought him over. And, dude, there's window washing, and then there's apparently, window washing, really understanding the mechanics behind it and the science, not just, Windex and stuff. Oh, my gosh. He did it. I'm guessing 3 months ago now. They're still – because once he does them, when you go to clean them again, they clean differently after he's done it. It's not like you're just hitting the glass. he really, this guy's dialed.
Nice.
Super impressive. Everybody at the church is like, wow, what happened to our glass? It's like, yeah, Taylor. So
Cool.
thank you, Taylor. Really appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, big shout out to you. Thank you for the shirts, and go look them up if you need window washing.
Yeah.
If you need shirts, if you need logos.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. But yeah, the shirts turned out pretty cool. This is our first time to ever have our logo branded on anything other than just a screen.
Dude, only if we had a
So-
theme song. That'd
Oh
be
man,
epic.
wouldn't that be so cool?
That would be so cool.
In fact, if you've been listening to the most recent episodes, then you really have. If you listened all the way to the end and you listened to the outro, you noticed that the outro was updated.
Yes, it was.
And the outro has a little taste of the theme song. And that's what you get so far. That's what you get for now. We're 23 episodes in. We talked about the song, literally the first episode, I think. So we're a little overdue, but we are working on piecing together all the footage for a music video for that. That's going to be super cool.
I bet it comes together
Whatever
this
gets-
weekend.
I think it'll be mostly done this weekend.
It'll be mostly done this weekend.
couple of shots that are going to take a little bit of coordinating.
Yeah.
But we're going to get it done.
People are
Don't want to give any spoilers
Yeah,
here.
people at home are listening. You're like, all right, you guys are talking about dress apparel. We'll get into the subject in a second. But this, I do want to say this song that your brother basically put together, wrote.
Not basically, he did.
I mean, the whole thing. I mean, he's like a master musician kind of guy, and a bunch of instruments he plays. I'm really excited actually to do the video. One, because I think it's a great song. I think it's a really good song. I mean, if I had heard it and I wasn't even involved in this in any way, shape, or form, I'd be like, that's a freaking great song. I don't know who wrote that, but it was amazing. But I think to put it to a background video is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm genuinely looking forward to launching that and seeing where it goes, like in mainstream, just to have it compete with the real world, see what happens. I think it's actually going to do really well. That's just my take.
Well, I hope so.
Yep.
I hope so. If you listened to the outro on the past, I think 2, maybe 3 episodes now so far, it'll be on today's episode as well. The words for the chorus, and anybody listening, you've heard them. I carry a gun because this world's gone cold.
Yep.
A knife for the path when the stories unfold.
Which we'll be doing this weekend.
Absolutely. But the one that leads me, come fire or trial, is the word in my hand with a leather-bound smile. It's the life that I live, not just something I say. That's the daily carry I bring every day. That is some heavy-hitting words there. And that is exactly why we are up here talking since episode 1 all the way now up today, episode 23, because that's what we believe in, and that's what we're here to talk about even today. That is our topic for today. Some crazy stuff going on in the world as always, so we've got a lot of subject material we can get into. We're going to try to stay along the lines of this topic, though, and that topic's going to be how to prepare for the fight, seen and unseen. Stay with us on this one because this one's going to be a fun topic. It's going to have some ups and downs and twists and turns. It's going to have some depth to it, but it's also going to have some funner elements to it.
Funner, more fun, funnier. Moose, plural of moose, moosin. Have you ever listened to Brian Regan's plural segment? That's hilarious.
Meese.
Boxing. It's the world went cold yesterday in Minneapolis. Prayers seem to be the thing that everybody says. Prayers for you guys. Pray before, pray during, pray after. Never stop praying. Never stop being in the Word is more my take. Our hearts go out anytime you have something like this that involves kids. It hits you hard. It hits you extra hard. There's a shock to the system. You can never say enough about the evil that is personified when somebody walks in and attacks the innocent, the defenseless innocent. And in this case, that's exactly what they did. So,
why don't you just give context to anybody listening in case they don't know what happened yesterday?
A dude, Robert somebody or other who now identifies as Robin, started either transitioning or wanting to identify as a woman. I've seen pictures. I didn't dig into his background story at all because I could care less about the guy, honestly. Went into a Catholic school in Minneapolis on open fire. 17 injured. At least as of yesterday, I have actually not opened the news this morning, so I don't know if there's an update on that. But 2 children killed, and I know he was dead. I don't know if he unalived himself or law enforcement showed up on scene. I did not dig into it. I just saw literally read the first 3 paragraphs on a news report, but I was looking at the pictures because what caught my attention was on the very last podcast we were talking about was this very thing. It's laws being put into place to protect, to create, let me be clear, to create this outcome where you're going into the world of mental health and you're creating a law that says you can go gender bender yourself, and then these people can't deal with gender bendering themselves, and then they go off the rails and they go do violent acts. And it doesn't mean that people that don't gender bender themselves aren't going to do violent acts. We've been watching that since the dawn of man, and it happened with Cain and Abel. So it's not this isn't me sitting in this chair beating up the trans community, but it is another episode where, and I don't know how many of the last half dozen or so shootings, or maybe even more than that, have all been trans. So there's clearly some type of pattern that is developing, whether people on the left want to argue it or not, but it's very, very sad. It's tragic on so many levels. And here's the thing. It's 100% preventable. 100%. 100%. So tough. It's tough. It's tough to see these things, especially with kids. It is a cop. It always hits you hard with the kids. Those are the ones you want to get to first. And when you can't get there, it really wears on you. So I'm prayers and thoughts for the Minneapolis community, law enforcement, fire, EMS, emergency responders, all the guys and gals that deal with these scenes, the parents, obviously, the school system, and then the families. In fact, it's just terrible.
I did just confirm. I looked it up to confirm it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound that
coward.
Yeah, he died from. But yeah, it's absolutely tragic. 2 kids. I think it was maybe somewhere close to 8 and 10 years old, maybe 8 and 9 years old, something like that.
They were young, I know that.
Yeah, so 2 kids and then more than 2 kids shot. So definitely prayers, and we'll say a prayer at the end of this episode as always, and make sure that we pray for those who are recovering, that nobody else loses their life over this, and that they all recover okay. But yeah, man, what a tragedy. And for it to be something that happened yesterday and us had the conversation that we had on Tuesday. I mean, we were just talking about this. We were just talking about the mental breaks that come with these lies that are continuing to be shoved down our throats.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously what this guy did, he's a deranged monster. That's what the headlines on the news that I was just reading were calling him.
He had a manifesto. I do know that. He wrote, I guess, I didn't read it, but I know he wrote a very lengthy thing blaming different people, specifically named people. Like, I don't know if he knows them personally, but I think one of them was like a Texas congressman or something, and somebody else. Yeah. So, it's just so easy to go off the rails on this stuff in my head and just go, what the heck? And just scream at the camera and go, what a POS. I mean, you're so to mount up. I will say this, to gear up in any way, shape, or form. Well, however he went in, he was carrying 3 different guns, so he was very clearly intent. I do know that. How he bought him is where the left will go to, and should he have had him, and the background. It's the dumbest argument in the world. So I want to avoid that for a second. I just want to go to the fact that what you guys endorsed here in Colorado in legislation and the governor signing it off, you guys indirectly have blood on your hands with stuff like this. This is the kind of thing when you put stuff into law and these people can't handle this stuff that you're creating that is made up in the first place. I mean, let's just get to the root of it real quick. I mean, you're a dude. You science. If we're following the science, well, let's follow the science. Chromosomes don't change. Every cell in your body doesn't change. I don't care what medicine you're putting into it. You're never going to go from a dude to a girl. I don't care what body parts you cut off. It doesn't. None of this stuff matters. You're always going to be a dude just by your science makeup. God created you a certain way. You're always going to be that way too. You can get lost in your head and think you're something else, and that's what we voted into law. We voted that it's okay to believe that you're something else, and then we're going to punish the people that push back against it. Well, here's part of your pushback. Somebody walked into a school armed with 3 guns. How he got them is a distant second to me, because he could steal them and go do the exact same thing. It really doesn't matter how he got the guns at this point. We can digress and pop into that argument later. He knowingly, willingly, and intentionally executed people, and he's deranged. And you people just passed a law here in Colorado that promotes it. So not only shame on you, but I look forward to the fight moving forth to stand against the face of evil. And when I say the fight, I mean verbally the fight. And I'm hoping I'm standing there when one of these guys walks around the corner and decides he's going to execute innocent people in it, because I'm going to do my best to stand in the way and stop that threat. But I also look forward to talking about using the First Amendment, talking about our faith and why it's so very important to have faith, and it's so very important to have a circle of friends that hold you to account. I said it Tuesday, I'll say it again, said it a gazillion times. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I guarantee you, people that are walking these journeys, that are going through this stuff, surround themselves with like-minded people that convince them to go do this. Because I've heard story after story after story of people that have detransitioned after doing it and saying, I wish I hadn't hung with those people, because half the reason I did this was because of my
peer
friends.
pressure, right?
Yeah, peer pressure. And we all know peer pressure. We all went to school. We all know what it looks like. It just looks different in 2025. And that's what we're facing. So being ready mentally, what you carry and what you face, what you can see and what you can't.
No doubt.
It's a big episode.
I like the way that you put it. You know, there's definitely blood on the hands of society as a whole.
Yep.
This guy, as deranged as he was, as much of a monster as he was, as wrong as he was, at some point, society failed him.
Oh,
because
for sure.
Anybody who's been affected by these woke ideologies, these trans ideas, they are hurting the psyche of American people. They're hurting the psyche of the world, because think about it. This guy is a perfect example of somebody who got broke down over time with the lies that he had been told that he actually believed in. And he clearly had this psychological break. And he went and he had this manifesto or whatever he had. And he had intent, not only intent, but he willingly, intentionally went and tried to kill as many people as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And call it what you want to call it, but that's obviously a psychological break from him feeling whatever way he felt, from having derangement, from him believing these lies with the trans and woke ideologies, 100%. And we talked about the other incidents on Tuesday with the parent that killed their kid.
Yeah, couldn't take it anymore.
And that, not saying whatsoever in any way, shape, or form that the parent is who we support in that. Absolutely not. But what are we really speaking against right now? It's basically a continuation of what we had on the conversation on this last episode that we posted in episode 22, where we're really talking about the greater thing we were talking about is the issues that it presents for businesses and honestly just regular everyday people with the legislation that had been passed in Colorado that supports and protects trans individuals and pronouns and how you identify. But those things are what we are calling out right now, because it's making everything in society worse. Mm-hmm. It's giving more and more flight risk, so to speak. It's giving more and more anxiety, stress, and more of a reason for kids to grow up already not even being 100% mentally sound, and then have at some point, sometime in their life, go off the edge, go off the rails.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's too much. You can't keep on believing lies like that and it not have any repercussions. It's going to break you down and it's going to send you off the edge at some point.
You know what's interesting? And yeah, everything you said is just spot on. I was watching a comedian, Ben, I'm going to mess up your name. Big white dude from Canada has moved to America. He says some pretty controversial things, but most of what he says is I think, from what I've heard, is fairly spot on. The reason I brought him up is I was watching a clip the other night, and he was up on the stage, and somebody was heckling him, and he looked out, and he's well, you're heckling me, but why are you wearing a mask? And so this lady goes, well, it's because I've got COVID, and this was like a week ago, so it's like this is a recent event, and the whole crowd busts up laughing, and he's like, so you got COVID, and you came to my show. It's like, number one, do you know anything about COVID? Number two, you must not, because you're wearing this mask that everybody now realizes never worked. But more importantly, you came to my show. Did you do any research? And she said, yeah, I've listened to your stuff. And he goes, well, then you know what I'm going to talk about. You know I'm going to look right at you and go, what the heck is going on? What I found very interesting, and the reason I bring it up is everybody was laughing about the COVID thing. And if you go backwards 3 years ago, everybody was screaming at somebody about the COVID thing.
Yeah.
You walk in without a mask and everybody's like, you've lost your mind. You didn't get the shot. You're going to kill people. So we have conditioned and trained people. And we've also, if you look at it from the flip side, post-COVID, post-Fauci, post all these things, now people are like, I'd never wear a mask again. If the bubonic plague came through with COVID mixed with 3 other strands of something, nobody's going to put on a mask and nobody's going to trust the science because of the stupid experiment. Did people die? Yes. Was it bad? Of course. Was there an origination factor in it that's been argued over? Yeah. But at the end of the day, when I go to just what the indoctrination of people, put this on or we're going to kick you out of a business, put this on, or you're, in my wife's case, get the shot or you're not going to have a license anymore. Like Dora. And I've had, when I said that on an episode, like 6 episodes ago, 7, whatever it was, I had some yin yang come back at me. Personally DM'd me, knew who I was, DM'd me and said, dude, you're spreading false information. And I'm like, have you ever read the Dora website? He said, no, but you're spreading false information. I said, stand by. And I sent him a text, screenshotted the Dora website from 2020 all the way to 2023. I'm like, there it is. And he went, wow. I'm like, yeah. So your first instinct was to ping me and tell me I'm an idiot without doing any research. This is the kind of stuff where we've gotten to where people are just indoctrinated to believe something because somebody says something. And in the case of COVID, put on your mask, everybody's going to die. Well, in the beginning, I'm totally sympathetic with that. I was empathic to it because nobody knew. This is the first time in history we'd ever dealt with anything like this in our current generation. So nobody knew. But by month 6, people are going, well, wait a second, right? Well, take that and drop it over into this whole binary, non-binary, you can identify as what you want thing. When did that start? How popular has that become as of late? And look at the traction it's getting right now. COVID got a lot of traction. Masks got a lot of traction until it didn't. And then people woke up and went, what in the heck is going on? And now they're just like, there's no way. So fast forward 6 months down the road, a year down the road, where do you think we're going to be? I don't know, but I bet it ain't where we're at today. I bet there's going to be a flipping Armageddon situation before we stay where we're at today, because people are just going to get tired.
Yeah.
I mean, how many graves of dead children do we have to stand on? Literally, as a country, as politicians, going off on gun rights and going off on different things while promoting mental health issues at warp speed that nobody can keep up with, and passing laws that punishes people literally for the First Amendment because you call somebody the wrong name, that you didn't even know you were calling them the wrong name. You're just being friendly to somebody and they just freak out on you. And there's video after video after, just thousands of them out there of people just reacting, and it's only going to get worse. And now we have a real-time incident less than 24 hours ago where people got executed by somebody who's deranged. And here, I will say this, let's take the trans thing out of it for a second. If the average dude that everybody loved and knows, he's a great father, he's a coach, he goes to church, he does his thing, everybody thinks he's like the pillar of the community. If that dude went off the rails, went down, took a gun, walked into that school and started shooting people, I'd be saying the exact same thing right now. I just wouldn't be equating it to the trans community. The only add-on to this thing is you have a mental health issue that clearly went off. But if you go in and execute people that are defenseless, something is inherently wrong with you in your head, regardless of how you come across to people. 100%. Something's wrong.
100%. And let's clarify that. I like that you said that, and I like that you brought that up and pointed that out. Of course, mental health issues are going to be amplified whenever you throw trans and woke ideology in there.
Yep.
Of course, it's going to be amplified. It's going to be multiplied. It's going to be on levels like we've never seen. But it doesn't mean that regular, everyday people don't have mental struggles.
Sure.
I mean, every dude out there, every woman out there, anybody listening, everybody, we have thoughts that we have to fight and push back. It's not like we can just have this mental capacity that the first thought that comes to mind is always the thing that's said or done, right? We still have to control our mind, control our thoughts, control our actions, and there has to be a certain level of discipline on everyday, regular basis on regular people. We all have issues. We all have weight that we carry. We all have depression. We all have things that we have to fight back and wage war on, right? And that's a big part of what we're talking about today. And I've referenced it before, and I'll say it again. There's a book by Craig Rochelle. It's a really good book. It's called Winning the War on Your Mind. And it goes into some really in-depth scientific studies on your brain and how your brain works, how neural pathways work, how you can rewrite them, how you can change your brain chemistry, change your thought processes, but all from the lens and the perspective of faith, which is obviously that's what we're talking about. And in the greater scheme of things, that's all that really matters for me and Micah. Now, some people listening, maybe you're not quite there yet. Maybe you don't know what to believe. Maybe you're not sure what you believe. But I would say that their chances are pretty high that we have some listeners out there that have struggled with depression. We've had some listeners out there that have maybe struggled with suicidal thoughts, maybe even homicidal thoughts. And here we are talking about how to prepare for the fight, seen and unseen. And seen, we've talked about quite a bit. We've talked about unseen a little bit as well. But number one, what I'd like to put out there is there's a scripture that talks about putting on the armor of God and the whole armor of God in Ephesians.
Yep.
And that is more important now than it ever has been. It's always been important, but now more than ever with all of the things that we have to wrestle, that we have to fight every day. Because there's also a scripture, by the way, that says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against the evil and darkness and high places in this world. So we wrestle not against just what's physical, right? We wrestle against spiritual things that are unseen, things that we don't just open our eyes when we wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, that's what I need to fight today. But there can be this battle, and a lot of times that battle is what goes on in your mind. A lot of times it's what you're thinking. What is going on in your mind behind those eyelids, behind your eyeballs? What's going on back there? Making sure that we have some way to ground that in a world that's filled with so much junk and so much noise and so many distractions and so many reasons to get you worried, to get you depressed, to get you feeling like that, man, this world's getting worse and worse and worse, and what's the point of anything? Well, what's going on in your mind? What's going on back there? We've got scripture, we've got blueprint to be able to help us make sure that we are praying and picking up our cross every day and bringing our thoughts, letting God be the one who captivates our mind, bringing all of our thoughts into his captivity, right? And that helps when we have the full armor of God on. Then we're able to make sure that we are not just getting tackled and beat down by these unruly thoughts, because that's where a lot of this starts, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's a lot easier to be in control of your thoughts whenever you're already on the winning side of not having a bunch of lies in your head that you believe in, right? So whenever you introduce lies like this trans and woke ideology, and society's telling you, yeah, believe it. You can be whatever you want. Your name can be whatever you want your name to be. Your pronouns can be whatever your pronouns want. Whatever you want, you can do it your way. What's that? That's that Subway's tagline. What's that? Have it your way, something like that.
That was Burger King.
Burger King, that's what it was.
That was in the 70s.
But whenever we have those lies, that makes it even harder already, right off the bat, to be able to deal with this battle that's unseen. Whenever you have these lies that are just circulating in your head, and just, what do I believe? What do I do? So much information out there. What do I grab hold of? What do I hold on to? It can be that's already a disadvantage whenever you already are not grounded in any truth whatsoever.
Man, you said that so well. Really well. I would argue I would argue one point. Not that you said it wrong. I would actually double down on it in a different way. I think what you fight in your head is probably, and I'm using myself as perspective solely. I can't speak to what anybody else's head. But in my head, I think I fight what's in my head far more than what I fight physically out in life. Far more. Because I'm always in my own head. I'm always thinking of stuff. How do I pay for this? What am I going to do there? Or do I like this flavor of that? Or da, 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 da. I mean, from simple, dumb little things to holy cow. Like yesterday, I'll give you an example. Here's fighting in your head. So Brian and Esther, I'm helping them move yesterday. Been there for 6-7 hours, just banging, go up and down the stairs, doing stuff. We're having a great time. We're laughing. Esther's being Esther, great host. Thank you so much. We're just really enjoying the friendship and the time helping a friend out. I get a text. Well, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket like 5 times. And we were going up and down the stairs with something super heavy. And I check it once we get outside, and it's my wife. And she sent me a picture of something. It's like it's almost like a script, like a doc would write. And I didn't know what it was. I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't really see it. And trying to expand it on the phone. So I just ended up calling her, and she says, yeah, I'm actually heading down to get a CT right now. She's like, I think my appendix is hot. I mean, like, just from 0 to that. Maybe gallbladder. I don't know what it is. She goes, but I'm in just writhing pain right now. And my wife works at a doctor's office for perspective. So she went and saw the docs, and they're like, yeah, we're sending you in. So I went from moving and doing all the stuff with these guys to like, wow. So in my head, immediately, as soon as I got in the truck, my head went to, so my wife had double mastectomy, 2 types of cancer, double mastectomy reconstruction 3.5 years ago. My head went to, man, I hope this is not cancer related. Even though she's saying it's like in the right side of her belly, and I'm thinking appendix, and but she's like, but you got to know my wife. My wife doesn't complain about it. She's never in pain, and she's never sick. So when she got cancer, I mean, she's the greatest warrior ever. So yesterday, for her to call me and say, I'm going to the doctor, the world had to be ending was the point. And it really, I mean, it hit me, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I went right to the darkness. I went right to, this better not be cancer related. Oh, please, dear Lord, right? So I meet her over at the doc. They go through the CT. We'll have the results this morning, I guess. They're going to look at them. A lot of the pain subsided. You know, we're hoping this ends up being nothing. But in my head, I immediately went to darkness, and I started battling that and started battling it. I walk in, we get in there, and the doc comes up to me, and he says, hey, there's a female that asks questions, but she says, on this, is there anything I need to know? Has your wife had cancer? Because we're getting ready to do the CT, and like if she's been radiated or anything, it will show up on the CT. And immediately it confirmed my fear just by her asking that question. So I think when you live in your own headspace, you can really get sideways pretty quick, and you start thinking of the worst. And you mentioned depression. I've battled depression off and on most of my life. I can sit back and say, you know, sodomy as a kid, or I can say daddy issues and divorce. I can say a lot of things, but it still comes down to the fact I had to be there for my bride yesterday. I've got to put on the game face. I love you. Whatever this is, we'll be fine. We're going to figure it out, because you don't know. But you want to encourage and give strength as a husband to your bride who's looking at you going, who never goes in, right? Who's looking at you like, oh man, I'm really hurting. In the real world, for just me, I've still got to suck it up, buttercup, and get after it. You still got to do stuff. What you don't have to do is go get a gun and shoot innocent people. Like, there's no part of that makes sense to me. And yet, because it happens, we know it happens, and it gets mainstream attention, and everybody's going to go after their 2 pounds of flesh in this thing. Be it gun rights activists, be it trans activists, be it whatever. Everybody's going to piece and parcel this. You know what most people miss? Most people, after, we'll say a prayer for the community, there's families' lives that were changed yesterday in an instant for the rest of their life. Because of somebody who had, call it what you want, but with intentionality, knowingly and willingly. And that's why I said knowingly and willingly. They didn't walk in there unarmed. They walked in there armed with 3 different weapons. They knew what they were doing. They were willing to do it, and they intentionally did it. I'm sorry. Those families for the rest of their lives are impacted. And this person couldn't collect themselves enough not to go in and soft target something. I mean, why? So if you're that bent, I got a question for people that are thinking of doing these things. If you're that bent, why don't you just fly over to like Afghanistan and go fight a war? Why? I mean, if you're that bent on shooting people, be a man up, and go overseas someplace where these things are active right now. Go over into the Gaza Strip and pick your side. Get out there and pick up your gun and get busy. If you got a cause, stand on it.
You're talking about an absolute coward, though.
Oh,
You're
that's
talking about
my
somebody
point.
walking in, shooting kids, and going to gun-free zone pretty much, and then he just offs himself at the end.
Yeah,
of it.
the sticker did a lot of good on the door, by the way.
There was a gun-free sticker on the door?
Yeah, I saw one that somebody had showcased. And they're all over the place, right? So did no good. Did none whatsoever. That is just, it's again, it's these, we put these placebos in place, and instead of looking at the real problem, and I know I've said this like 3 times maybe today, I'm going to say it again. People here in legislation in Colorado, this is what you get right here with your bill. I mean, on this specific incident, because you had the very thing that you're fighting for just went out and executed people. The very thing that you just created law on to protect or endorse to go do. Yeah. I mean, let's call it what it is. Gender bending. They're going out and saying, yep, you can go do this now legally in Colorado. You can't do it somewhere else. Come to Colorado. We're a safe haven. Safe haven to give you what you want until you can't handle it anymore. And then that same governor is going to come out and, if that happened here in Colorado, and go, oh, we denounced this and it's gun violence, and immediately it's going to become somebody's fault except his. Because he doesn't, I cannot understand how they can't connect the dots on this stuff. It boggles my mind.
I just think that, in a world like we're living in right now, it's more important than ever to be trained and to be ready. Like if you're dealing with kids, if you are teaching kids, if you're instructing kids, you should be the most trained individual out there. If you have a responsibility, you've got kids in your classroom, you got kids in your facility, whatever it is. Number one, everything starts with safety. That's it.
Yeah.
If you can't do it safely and you can't keep the kids safe, then what are we doing? It doesn't matter what we teach them. It doesn't matter how well they're raised up. If you can't start with keeping them safe and protected, then we've completely failed. And we are failing. We are failing our kids right now in America. There are how many schools that now, thankfully, there's a lot of people that are getting the picture. We've gotten more police officers. We were voted. Unfortunately, it hits the businesses with the sales tax, which is a little bit of a hit that we're feeling as business owners. But at the end of it, it's for a good reason. They elected to have more police officers at schools here in Castle Rock, which I'm all about. I'm all for that, absolutely. But I also think that you got to make sure that these people that are in the classrooms are capable and trained, and they're going to put themselves to where if it's them or the kids, it's going to be them every time. They're going to make sure that they're ready to protect the kids with their own lives. Those are the kind of people we need stepping up to the plate to educate our children, not people who are going to be spineless, not people who are going to be cowards, not people who are going to say, no, I don't want a gun because I don't know how to use it. How about the people that are going to step up and say, train me, teach me, I will do whatever it takes to keep our kids safe. This is the future of America.
Right.
That's what we need. We need people to step up to the plate and protect our kids that way. It's all about them. It's all about the future of our country. It's all about the little ones. It's all about these kids and making sure that they have a chance to be raised up and live a good life. And then whenever they are in their older years, they've had these good examples of people who are ready to lay down their own lives in service and in protection of them.
Right.
We don't have that in this country right now.
No, we don't.
We have a whole lot of, it's all about me. It's all about me.
It's the me monster.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, and this is not our topic, and I'll just say this because I really think that it really hits home on exactly what we're talking about. Well, we've talked about it as far as pro-choice versus pro-life. Mm-hmm. That is I love the way that I've heard somebody else put it, and that is that the entire stance of abortion is the opposite of God's plan. It's the opposite of Christ's plan. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's what's Christ? Let's start with Christ. Christ's mission and his message is I must die so they can live.
Right.
It's the opposite of that for abortion. Yep. They must die so I can live. Because everybody, whenever they're arguing this pro-life versus pro-choice, everybody pivots to, well, what about if there's not going to be a safe pregnancy? What if it needs to be terminated? And obviously termination and abortion, not really the same thing. But most good mothers who actually love their kids say, do whatever it takes, try to save my baby. Doesn't matter what happens to me. All that matters is what happens to them. Mm-hmm. Most good mothers, that is the way that they're thinking about their kid. And unfortunately, that's another lie that we're having to deal with in society where people are making it sound like, oh, it's okay. You got to value your life. That's a life that hasn't even happened yet. It's like, yes, it did. It has a heartbeat, doesn't it? Yeah, of course it's a life. Of course it's a life. Of course it is. And most mothers, whenever they have this understanding of what life is and they feel that growing inside of them, they know that's my baby.
Yeah.
That's my baby. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, protect them, keep them safe. If I have to lay my own life down for them, I will.
Right.
Because why? Because that is Christ's message. That's the way we're supposed to love. Is the way that Christ loved us. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man would lay down his life for a friend.
I've got about 97 responses. This is going to be a 17-hour podcast. I'm going to tell you right now. It just won't be today. We're going to have to do this in episodes. Tom McDonald, the rapper, if bacteria is life on Mars, why isn't a heartbeat life on Earth? Weird. One of his lines in the song. It's so true. It's so true. Oh, we have found bacteria on Mars. There must be life. Oh, okay. But we can't figure out what a heartbeat is on Earth. Number one. Two, you said this is off topic. Well, actually, I think it's on topic from the standpoint of if you're not, I'm going to hold that thought for a second. I am going to hit something else. We have an agreement, you and I, very much on when we sit down. Just so you guys know, Jared and I walk into this and we go, "What do you want to talk about today?" For the most part. We're not sitting back. My point is we don't have a studio. We don't have a bunch of people prepping. We don't have people behind the scenes. It's you and I. You go over there and you're hitting
no PR representative or anything like that.
if you want to be a sponsor,
no PR representative would work with us. Are you kidding me,
dude? I know somebody. I know two people off the top of my head that do it tomorrow. This world that we're living in all seriousness, we got a lot going on, and you brought up a handful of points that I was just sitting here. I wanted to respond, but I didn't want to interrupt you. We've got a system of belief right now that is so reversed. I feel like I'm in Stranger Things. I feel like I'm in the Upside Down, and it ain't going to get better. So I definitely want to cover our topic and talk about being prepared, because otherwise I would just be sitting here just channeling thoughts to the things that you said, and I'd rabbit trail all day long because there's so many cases. And but I do want to say one thing as a medic, and I'm going back to like 93, 94. I had a placental bleed, 911 call, 2 a.m, bad. I mean, like abruption deal. And mom's crashing. She's 20, I think she was 25, 26 weeks. Right on the cusp. Tough time frame. And we're loading and coding, and we're getting her down, and we're bolusing. We're doing everything that we can to keep her alive, keep the baby alive. And all she said was, "Save my baby." Save my baby.
Wow.
And you go, and I've had a few, not a lot. I've had a few, less than 10 delivery-based things as a medic. I've delivered a couple as a cop on the side of the roadway, kind of cool. Super easy deliveries, just backseat kind of deal. We're just like, here we go, let's have some fun today. And, mama's crying and daddy's crying and I'm crying and the baby's crying. Everybody's crying, but everybody's happy. Just, joyous moments. But it's the tough ones like that on that one. And the reason that one stands out is because she said the very thing that you said. There's when you know. Mm-hmm. She stopped. Oh, by the way, she had 2 other kids. So stop and think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Save my baby. It's not that she didn't love her other kids. Because, by the way, she lives. Baby lives. And it was a long, lengthy hospital stay. It was a bad deal. But she lives. And I remember seeing her. So we did another transport a couple weeks later. And I go in, and I just, when you're doing paperwork, and my partner handled that call, so he's yielding all the paperwork. Well, I got time to go get a coffee. Well, I went and found her. This was at University of Michigan Hospital, and where I also worked and did clinicals. So I went and found her. Went to the charge nurse. I'm like, "Hey, we're such and such." And he gives me the room, and I go in, knock on the door, and I mean tears, dude. Just to me, I walk in and we both start crying. And she told me in that moment, all I could think about was my baby. She goes, I phased everything out, and I said, because I didn't know. At the time it was the bleed, and I was like, we were dealing with it, so I didn't even know she had kids until that moment. So when I got to visit with her, she talked about her husband, she talked about her kids and what he did for a living, and went through this whole thing. And she goes, "But man," and she goes, "It's all I could think of was just, Lord, take me and save my baby."
Wow.
Like, I don't know how else to put that point across to people.
That is a mother. That is what motherhood is.
That aborts,
Yeah.
Because there's some tragic cases. There's rapes and there's other things, and there's arguments both ways. And it's my body. Well, it's my body too, and I get it. And then I don't want to go too far with this, but I will just say that I genuinely believe that life is life, and you choose to end that and how you choose to end it. And that choice is yours forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that woman chose to stay in the fight. And I will say this thing. When she was on the pram and we were smoking, getting to the hospital. She looked at me and said, "Do not let my baby." When she looked in my eyes, "Do not let my baby die." There's something inside, and cops get this, medics get this. There's something inside about a kid. I said it a few minutes ago. That is different. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I can.
Well, I mean, we see it in nature, dude. We see mama bear, whatever, mama bear, mama deer, you name it, mama turkey. Dude, they'll put
fight.
themselves at complete risk, put themselves in harm's way for their kids. That's the way that it's supposed to be.
Right.
But with all this woke ideology and all these arguments for it's all about you. They try to make it be all about you. You can be whatever you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't let anybody come before you. You put you first. That is the complete opposite of the way we're supposed to live our life. And that is the complete opposite of the way that we live a fulfilled life. We don't live a fulfilled life by fulfilling what we want.
Right.
We live a fulfilled life by fulfilling our purpose.
Yeah.
And our purpose is not to just enrich ourselves and be whatever we feel like we are in a given moment, and think about how tragic it is for kids to literally be being raised right now without having a parent to guide them and say, "Oh, you're really not a puppy dog. You know that, right? You're really not a cat, right? We were just playing. It was just pretend." Or whether they're playing dress up or whatever, that we were just playing dress up, right? You know that you're really not a princess or whatever.
Right.
I know there's some dads out there. Your daughter will always be a princess. So don't take what I'm saying too far. But the point of what I'm saying is we've got society trying to say that you can not only you can, but now in the state of Colorado, you have to embrace whatever your kid says, or you can be penalized. Whatever your kid says that they are in a single day, if they say that their name is not the name that you gave them at birth, you have to go along with it. Or there's repercussions. It's in the law. House Bill 251312. It's in the law. You can't be a parent and just guide your kid in truth. Whatever they say that they are, according to Colorado, you have to go along with it. You have to just go along with it. You have to say, okay, that's what we're going to do. And the schools, they go along with it without ever having to tell the parents, without ever having to get consent. This is a huge, huge problem. Because imagine, we've got problems now. This keeps going on and it's not corrected. This keeps going on and we've got a wave of kids, a generation of kids that have been raised thinking that they can be and that they are whatever they want to be as far as, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. In fact, I'm not even any of those things. I'm a dog. I'm a cat. Whatever. That's literally how far these ideologies are pushing themselves and gripping themselves around our kids. That's who they're going after. Why do you think that they're going after the kids? Why do you think that this bill is going after kids, minors in schools? Why? Because they're pliable. Because they know, well, some of these older ones, we're not going to be able to pull the wool over their eyes. But kids are impressionable. Kids, they don't know what they are. They don't know who they are. So let's get them while they're young. Let's break down society at its fabric and make people believe absolutely nothing. Make them believe that they can be whatever they want, but at the same time, we're making them believe that nothing's true. Nothing's real. It's just whatever you want it to be.
I'm going to share a real quick short story on a traffic stop that I watched, and then let's dive into the carry, the reason why we carry preparation. That's because that's what we are going to target today. So I'm watching this video the other night, absolutely hilarious. So this it's one of these I don't know what you call these people that are just pushing back against the cops about showing your ID on a traffic stop at insurance. They're just like,
yeah,
I don't have to show you, right? So here's what this guy does. Cop pulls him over, and it's body cam footage from there's a cop on the passenger side and another cop on the driver's side. There's two people in the car. The body cam footage is from the guy on the passenger side looking at the driver, and it's the guy goes, I identify as a cat, C-A-T, cat. So I'm not going to show you my license. And the officer said, oh, that's fine. I didn't know we were issuing driver's licenses to cats in the state. I'll have to research that. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, and I don't have to talk to you because I'm a cat. And he goes, oh, that's fine. Totally down with that. Totally cool. He goes, I didn't even know cats could drive cars. And he goes, yeah, I'm a special kind of cat. And he goes, and the officer says, do you believe in the safety and the well-being of cats? So like, making sure they have shots and all this. He goes, absolutely. Of course I do. He goes, oh, good. He goes, have you had yours? And the guy just sat there for a second. He goes, well, no, actually I haven't. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. He goes, well, I'm going to have to call animal control to come out here and pick you up. And by the way, there's a 72-hour hold when animal control gets here, and they're going to vaccinate you with all of the things because they don't know what you have for the safety and the well-being of the cat community and what diseases can be passed on to humans. So I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle. You're under arrest. Dude, I was falling over in the bed watching this because it was the perfect response to this moron sitting in here, because then he had no comeback. And he said, or you could just give me your driver's license and I'm going to write you the ticket because you were going 57 and a 25. Where do you want to go? Cat jail for a 72-hour hold, or do you want a ticket? And the guy's like, I'll take the ticket. So we just have this lunacy to where you're going to drive down the road and you think you've outcrafted an entire system. And the system's broken. There's bad parts of the system. There's no doubt in that. But people have just caught on to this stuff. And it's so funny because the other people see it and go, oh, that's what I'm going to do now. And now it's everywhere. And the reason you know it, I mean, stop and think about this. We talk about this often on the podcast. And I know I say it in real life. That thing you're holding in your hand, I think, is going to be part of the downfall of mankind because we just go to it all the time. This is where people are fed now. Nobody would have, if some dude was driving down the roadway with me in 1993 or 4 or whatever, I pull him over and he had said that to me, I literally would have taken him in for a mental health hold and gone, dude, like, I'm worried about you. Like, there's a serious concern here. It's so mainstream norm now. And because you see it all of the time, nobody would have ever known that incident had happened to me in 1994 when I stopped the guy, because you wouldn't have it out there for the world on social media. But because you see it, people go, ooh, I want to go do that. Or, ooh, I'm in a boundary program. Ooh, I'm going to try that. And that's where these things get traction, which is why I said Tuesday I read, and I confirmed it last night, that, and I don't know who did the study, there's a couple of them out there, said 6% of kids are identifying as trans now. I bet that number was at 1% 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we're out of our minds. And I don't, what do we do with it? That's what we're going to talk about now. But I shared that video because I'm dying laughing because I'm like, that, people don't understand. Like, when you're in law enforcement, you deal with these kind of things, you're now stuck in that traffic stop. You have to make a responsible technical decision on that person. Do I even allow this person to go down the roadway? I mean, are they even sane enough to drive a vehicle? That traffic stop becomes very complex. And while it was funny to watch, because the cops clearly been down this road before with these people, which means, because he wouldn't have just responded that way right off the cuff. I mean, unless he was just super discerning and funny and dry humor all at the same time. It seemed to me like he's experienced this. When you get enough of that out there, you're going, man, because you now have a responsibility for safety. And we said this on the podcast Tuesday with these auditors walking up behind these cops on these traffic stops. Somebody's going to get hurt, and it ain't going to be by the cop, right? Like, you're going to walk into a dangerous situation. So, I don't know where I was going with all that, other than I was just laughing at the craziness that we have that we're dealing with, where people are physically driving cars thinking they're cats.
Yeah. And
the law enforcement has to deal with this in the real world, and where people, where are you at in your headspace to think you can do that and you're going to get away with it?
Well, let's do this. I'm going to give my perfect formula, what I think. We're talking about how to prepare for the fight, seen and unseen. We've talked a little bit about the unseen. Let's talk about the seen, how to prepare for the fight that's seen. I'm going to just give my perfect recipe, and then you give yours, okay? My perfect recipe. This is what I think is really going to get you prepared for the fight scene. Those watching online, I'm pulling my carry. It's holstered. This is a SIG P365, and this is what I carry every day. I also have a 365X macro that I carry. I alternate between that and this. And then every once in a while, I might carry a Colt King Cobra 357 Magnum. But those are usually the 3 daily carries that I would alternate through. Those are what I usually carry. Now, my preference is always just this regular old school P365. It's got a 12+1 capacity, and it's really easy to carry an extra mag because the mags are so compact, so small. So you need extra capacity. You want to carry extra capacity, go for it. There's a lot of people out there that are like, if you can't get it done in 2, 3, you got a problem. Well, I don't agree with that, because it's not always going to be a situation where it's only one person you're dealing with. You might have more than one. There might be a gang that happens to just show up in a shootout in your area, whatever. And I'm not saying that there's always going to be situations where you have to plug yourself in and you have to intervene. If there's a gang shootout outside your house, probably stay inside, right? But if they start coming inside your house, that's whenever, obviously, they cross. We'll bring it back to this OODA loop, right? Observe, orient, decide, act. And that's a lot. That plays right into what we were even talking about with just our mental processes, right? OODA loop. We do it every day, and it's important to think about that, study that, and know the consequences of that. But for me, just the perfect recipe, it's not even so much what you carry, it's how you're trained. So the perfect recipe for me is, if you haven't already, go train jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is the number one martial art that you can learn, that you can practice to give you this mental control over yourself, to where you understand there's consequences if you lose control. There's consequences if you get angry, you get upset, you get emotional, and you start acting out of those emotional responses. Because the best people in jiu-jitsu, the best practitioners, the people who are really the best examples of jiu-jitsu practitioners, they have complete control over their mental state. They don't fight people out of frustration, out of anger. They stay in control. They keep their thoughts clear the entire time, and they're not doing their jiu-jitsu techniques out of emotional responses. They're doing it out of mental control and out of a state of they've already been here and done that, right? There's a lot of muscle memory that's in play with a lot of techniques that happen in jiu-jitsu. But jiu-jitsu at the same time is an art that takes a long time. It takes a lot of mat time to get proficient in it. And so jiu-jitsu being one of the harder ones, it's a hard thing to learn and it's a hard thing to do consistently, but the benefits of jiu-jitsu will change your life. Now, obviously, we're recording this podcast from the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. I own the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. So am I biased? Absolutely. But there's a reason that I am 14 years into jiu-jitsu, and it's because jiu-jitsu has changed my life.
Right.
And I completely believe, and I've seen it happen in so many other lives. Jiu-jitsu will change your life. Whenever you get plugged into the right jiu-jitsu community, you'll also have offerings, whether it's through your jiu-jitsu gym or whether it's through a local gun range, whatever it is. Don't just get jiu-jitsu training. Get shooting training. Get tactical training. Be prepared. Prepare yourself. You have got to make sure that you're ready. We're living in times where you've got to be ready. So for me, this is my formula. Train jiu-jitsu. Train with your weapons, not just at a range, just sitting still. Not just looking at a stationary target, but get outside. Get to some outdoor ranges. Incorporate some movement, even if it's just a dry fire class and there's not any live ammunition. Move with your weapon and practice how to use it whenever you need to use it moving. Because if you need to use your gun, you're not going to just be looking at something still. If you need to use it in real life, you're going to have to be ready to move. And you're going to need to know things like the difference between concealment and cover. You're going to need how to do tactical reloads. You're going to need to know how to do all kinds of different maneuvers with your footwork so that you're not tripping over things. You're going to need to have a lot of knowledge that's just going to be sitting right there. And you're not just going to be winging it saying, oh, I bought a gun. I saw a video the other day. It was so funny. This guy was like, I took a boxing class because I got beat up. I'm never taking a boxing class again. It was so hard. I'm going to buy a gun. It's like, well, you should approach owning a gun the same way as anything else. It should be hard, and it should come with a weight of responsibility.
Yeah.
You need to be ready to use it. So my recipe, my formula, how to be ready for the fight scene, well, yeah, we do have a Second Amendment right, but that Second Amendment, you really need to take the responsibility that it deserves and prepare yourself, train yourself. Be that warrior in a garden. If you're not interested in fighting, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Train yourself so that you're capable of violence, even if you don't ever want to be violent.
Right.
The people that I know that are the baddest dudes on this planet, they're the ones who are capable of violence, but they're not violent people.
Right.
You know? So train, get yourself to where you are confident, comfortable. You know your weapon, you know your carry, you know your body, you know how to use your body, you know how to protect yourself if you need to. That comes from training. That's it. Training is the formula. You got to train. And there's a lot of different classes that we could go over, but it just starts, in my opinion, I think the best and the easiest place to start is to go try jiu-jitsu. Try jiu-jitsu. I think that is the best place to start your training, and then you just continue from there. Don't let jiu-jitsu be the only thing. I would incorporate and study a couple different arts, but starting with jiu-jitsu, best thing to start with, because it's the hardest one to learn, the one that takes the longest, and I think you'll see the most benefits from jiu-jitsu.
Yep. I don't know if I've ever thought of it as a perfect formula or not. What I would tell people is, because I get asked all the time, because I teach and instruct, what do you carry on your person? I always have 2 knives and 1 gun, for the most part. Situational applicable. I mean, going to the swimming pool might be a little bit different, but I'm bringing something with me. But day to day, everyday carry, walking around, business, life, stores, to and fro. I use them all the time, so muscle memory is there. I train with them all the time, so muscle memory is there. I would say if it's about to hit the fan, for me, the first thing I teach, no matter what I teach, is breathe. First thing, take a breath. Just take a breath. Clear your mind. Take a breath, look around. And when I say take a breath and look around, this is all done in 1 to 1.5 seconds. Now I know what's around me. Why is that important? Because I want to know where I'm standing. I want to know if I have an escape route. I want to know if I'm going to trip over something. I don't care if it takes you 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. Breathe, exhale, look around, know your surroundings. Look at your 360. Figure out what you got. What can you use outside of what's on your person? And then take action to whatever you need to do. So is it, I need to walk 5 feet over here behind the cover of this tree because somebody over there is getting ready to pop off on people? Or do I need to approach the scene because this person's going to do what this guy did yesterday in school and I'm going to go stand in the face of evil? So to me, it's attitude, it's mindset, it's understanding your surroundings and the tools that you carry on your body, and leave your ego at home. Park your ego in the driveway and just leave it there. You don't need an ego. Ego will get you killed. Ego will get somebody else killed. That's never a good thing. So
Well said.
calm, cool, collected. Calm is important. Cool is the bottom of your pillow. Cool as a cucumber, however you define cool. And collected. Collected to me is one of the most important things because I don't want to be scattered. Yesterday when I got the phone call from Jana, my thoughts scattered instantly, and I don't want to live there, right? Like I got to collect myself before I walk in and meet her and go talk to the doc. So collect yourself. And you can do that in a couple breaths and move and get to some type of concealment cover if there's an incident that is unfolding and you're just unsure of what the incident is going to do, unless it's physical and it's the attack is on you. And then you do need to know what to do, and that's where jiu-jitsu comes in. I studied 3 different martial arts, 2 of them because of law enforcement, because of arrest control that I taught and different things like that. And then I was in one for the majority of my life, and it was incorporated a ton of striking. And I really, really enjoyed it. Jiu-jitsu changed my life because going to the ground is where most fights are going to end up. And I was fortunate in my law enforcement career to only have 4 knockdown dragouts where I thought I was going to die. Maybe about 100, 150 scuffles arresting somebody, or you're going to get punched or kicked or whatever. That's not a fight to me. That's just somebody who's resisting. Had I had jiu-jitsu back in the day, I used a lot of pressure point control tactics. Those work too, but they don't work on everybody the same way. But there's 2 that unequivocally work on everybody. And I keep those in my back pocket no matter what. And one are eyes. I always tell women, no matter what. Any self-defense class we teach, we always incorporate eyes immediately. Because you blind somebody, trust me, they're pretty much going to be incapacitated out of the fight or really ticked off. So you got to do it right. But yeah, to me, it's attitude, mindset, situational awareness, what's around me, know my escape routes, know what's on my person, know how to use it, and then know when to step into the fight.
Love it. Yeah. It's so much easier said than done. So much easier said than done. I think that one of the most important pieces to this is that it's something that you train on a recurring basis. You've got to get out there and train. You have to be familiar, and you have to be, it has to be, though, it's not such a distant memory that you're having to basically just try to like recall things, because jiu-jitsu is a perishable skill.
Sure.
How much more is shooting and tactics and mindset and breathing? You got to be training. You got to be disciplining yourself to where if you really find yourself in a situation, you have recently prepared. You have recently just trained in those ways. You've thought of those things. You've fired your weapon. You know what to expect. You know how to reload smoothly. You know how to breathe. You know how to be aware of your situation, your surroundings. Because I mean, one extra thing is whenever we're looking and you take your second to breathe and look around, not only are we looking for escape routes, not only are we looking to see if there's multiple threats, but we're also looking, well, who is in here that needs protection?
Yeah.
Who's in here that is innocent, that maybe all they have is me?
Or who's my ally?
That true. That exactly. And not only that, who is standing around me that I need to be aware of, because if I draw my weapon, I want to make sure I'm doing my best not to flag anybody. And if I fire my weapon, I definitely want to know my target and what's beyond my target. So who else is in the room? Who else is in the situation? And so there's lots of different considerations with that. But I can tell you this, because you and I are both on the same wavelength of talk is cheap. Action's what we want. We want to make sure that we're ready to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. So whenever we were talking earlier about teachers ready to lay down their lives, I want to make it known. I'm not just saying that. And I'm not just giving not just calling people out and not willing to live to that standard. I'm telling you right now that there is a group of staff members here at the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team. If anything ever happened here, you're going to see a lot of dudes that get between evil and the kids that are here practicing every day.
Yeah.
These kids, the kids that show up to the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team, I love these kids.
Sure.
This is my team. This is my family. I will do whatever it takes. And I know there's a long list of dudes that are on the mat helping instruct classes that are on the same wavelength. You walk into somewhere like here, you better think twice.
Yeah. I'm going to run with something for a sec, because you hit on, I said I was holding a thought earlier. I'm going to lean forward into this one. I know I have a handful of friends of mine that are teachers. I know and have trained a lot of teachers all over the country, quite frankly. One of the things that I hear back from teachers a lot is, I did not become a teacher to learn tactical training or how to barricade a kid in a classroom, or how to fill in the blank. Something that comes from one of these horrific incidents like we saw in Minneapolis yesterday. And I'm going to go back to I think it was like 18 or 19, right before our Texas endeavor. I was down a couple weeks out of every month in Texas training. We were in charter schools. We were in a lot of different schools training. And I finally, just one day, and I don't mean snapped as in snapped out loud. I snapped in my brain when a teacher said that to me. And I looked at him and I said, then why are you here? Help me to understand why you're here. Because if this is about reading, writing, and arithmetics, the 3 R's as we used to call it when I was growing up, that's great. Come in and teach and have the passion that you have to want to teach. But the safety and the well-being of these kids are entrusted into your care for 7 hours a day. Period. The principal of the school, the superintendent of the district, all of the teachers, the janitorial staff. It doesn't have to be an active shooter. It could be the mental capacity of somebody coming in. So you got 15, 18, 20 kids in a classroom, and you got one kid acting out. Back in the day when I was in high school, I'm 57. I graduated in 87. I remember Bill. I'm going to leave his last name out of it so people don't look him up online and cause him struggles in life. But I remember Bill sitting next to me in class, and he would mouth off. He was just a consummate bully, and he would just mouth off to the teacher. I remember the teacher picking up. It just is as sure as we're sitting here right now. This happened yesterday in my mind. Teacher picked up one of the. We had chalkboards. Teacher picked up an eraser and just 30 feet away, hit Bill square between the eyes. I mean, the back end of these erasers are hard. The soft on the boards, right? And the hard part hit him. It freaking knocked him right off the chair, because we had these benches. It was like this was a woodworking class, by the way. Just knocked him right off the chair. And then the kid comes up and he just goes over the top of the table, and the teacher just takes him to the ground, right? This was the talk of the school for weeks and weeks and weeks. And people nowadays are like, dear Lord, are you kidding me? I would sue the dude. Well, there's your problem right there. You know what we didn't have in that classroom? Anybody acting out, anybody doing stupid. And I'll tell you this right now, that teacher Well, whether you agree with the circumstance or not is a distant second. Did he go too far by throwing something? Probably. Was it an immature reaction? Yeah. But you know what drove him there? Bill. Every freaking day. And I had to sit next to this guy. We got out on this is high school, keep in mind. So I think this was my sophomore year. We get out and, you don't go to the playground in high school, as we all know. You go to the cafeteria, and then, some people go out into the courtyard and mill around. I kicked the ever-living crap out of Bill one day because I finally got tired of him poking at me. He would sit next to me in class and literally just wedge me with his finger. And I was a scrawny sophomore back in the day, but I was 6 years into martial arts at that point in time, and I played hockey, and I loved to fight. And I just beat the crap out of this kid. And I remember picking him up off the ground after I beat him up. It was my first high school fight. I picked him up off the ground. I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? Just leave me alone and you'll be fine. He ended up graduating, being a super nice guy, chilled out after that. But I think it was the eraser thing that finally got him. But I tell you that story to say this. That teacher, in today's society, he would be the teacher that would go fight the guy with the gun.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be that guy.
Yeah.
And we don't have, when I say we don't have enough of it, I'll extend an olive branch to the teaching community. I've never been a teacher. I don't have the bandwidth to be a teacher. I don't have the intelligence to be a teacher. And I certainly don't have the patience to be a teacher in the school community. I've been an instructor since 1995, and I'm somewhere north of 10,000 people that I've trained now in large groups, small total count. I've had my shares of frustrations instructing, but I know what it's like to be on the other side of people teaching and caring about the subject matter. So I'm with you. I'm empathic to the fact that you want to teach. I'm empathic and sympathetic to the struggles that you guys face, because it's got to be near impossible. I know how it would be in law enforcement right now. It's got to be near impossible teaching right now in today's society. Every liberal policy that has been voted in to protect or help or do something has been a failed policy. Every Democratic-run city is a train wreck right now, and our school systems are a train wreck. And I'm not going to lay it all at the feet of the Democrats, but I will say this. What has happened is always because of a boundary probe to get to the next thing. And if you look at where we're at right now, dog bowls in schools, kids identifying as, that's all liberal. That has nothing to do with conservative values, has nothing to do with the Bible, other than just the word evil in there, which I'll put that identifier over the top of it. But to say, when you're a teacher, to say it's not my job to do this, then freaking quit your job. Mm-hmm. Quit just tomorrow. I don't care if 50% of the workforce in America walks out tomorrow because you don't think it's your job to protect the kids. It's not my job. Well, if a bad guy comes in, we should have cops at the door. I agree. In 2025, we should have cops in every school. We should. We should have people trained. But to say it's not your job, or I didn't sign up for this, then go away. Honestly, just go find something else to do, because these kids are looking up to you. They're needing to know that they're protected. They need to know they're safe. They need to know that when somebody is beating them down emotionally, verbally, physically, whatever it may be, that you're going to step into the middle of it. And what's crazy to me is I didn't sign up as a cop, by the way. I didn't sign up to give free advice on how to get out of jail. I didn't sign up to be a counselor. I didn't sign up to, fill in the blank. Every cop out there listening right now is laughing. I signed up to be a law enforcement officer to protect the community, to serve the community, because I wanted people to be safe. What came with that job was 95% of the time you were playing a character or a role with somebody on something, and you weren't necessarily enforcing law. You were there to be there for people to walk journeys with you, and people will call 911 for everything and anything under the book, and you have to be able to discern that. As a teacher, my belief is when people walk into the school, you got to control that classroom. That's your responsibility as much as it is a parent in the house to control their kid. Yeah. And I'll get off my soapbox now, but that just, when you said the thing earlier about it, I was just like, I remember that teacher looking at me, and I just remember that moment it snapped. I'm like, I think you should be called to teach because you want to be a teacher and you love to teach. You love the kids. You want to empower them. You want to educate them. You want to get them to the next level. You want to give them everything that you believe in. But if your belief system is indoctrination to put evil out there and promote this stuff, then please go away. Just go away. Because if you can't see the tangible end results, then something's wrong. You're missing it.
Well said, sir. Well said. And that's got to start there, dude. All the teachers, everybody out there, if it's not starting with protecting the kids and wanting the best for the kids, what are you doing?
By the way, I want to extend an olive branch to the teachers real quick. If I'm a parent that's disengaged with my kid and I send you a problem, that's my responsibility. You may have inherited it for a minute, but that teacher should be able to come back to protect the rest of the kids in the classroom, to be able to go to the staff or to the leadership and say, hey, I got a real problem child in here, and be supported by the upper end staff to call that parent in to say, hey, we got a problem with your kid. And that responsibility starts with you. And I've heard from many teachers, they have no support from the upper end staff. It's left in the classroom for the teacher to deal with. So when I said earlier, I meant protecting kids, I mean, in the moment when it's going bad, you have to protect the kids. Like, if that's not your calling, then something's wrong. But if you have an ongoing problem that's been presented to you that's not being dealt with by policy or by the administration because you've got a parent that is rogue or they're not engaged in their kid's life, then that's not fair to the teacher. That is bad juju all the way around.
And I think it's been pretty clear what we're talking about. I don't think that there's been any misunderstanding.
I just want to make sure that was clear.
I think it's been pretty clear what we're talking about. But I mean, think about what we're teaching here. Whenever I'm teaching kids, I'm literally teaching the kids how to protect themselves. I'm going to do anything and everything I can to protect them. I want what's best for these kids. The kids who come into the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team, I want to be able to be the absolute best example. That's a weight that weighs heavy. I want them to be able to look up to me and every single other person that gets on the mat to coach them. I want them to be able to look up to good, strong examples. And I want them to look up and see that there's dudes that care about them. There's people who care about them, and they want them to not only be able to protect themselves, but we're interested in also protecting them in any and every way that we can. The kids know they have anything, they have any problems, they're struggling at school, they come tell me. They let me know. And what do we start with whenever we're telling them, hey, if you're getting bullied at school, what do you do first? Well, you tell a teacher. So what does that mean? That's in the program of every single self-defense for kids, that's in everybody's programming. Go tell a teacher if you can, before it's gotten to a physical level, right? If there's nothing, if you can't avoid it and there's hands getting put on you, then you do what you're trained to do. And that's incorporated in all the bully-proof training that we do in the Rock Jiu-Jitsu team and many, many other martial arts kids programs that is anti-bullying. But it starts with, if there's a kid that you see is bullying or they're bullying you and they're talking, it's verbal and it hasn't gotten to the point of being physical yet, go tell a teacher.
Right.
So that right there is us trusting the teachers that they're going to be ready and willing to do the right thing and protect the kids. So that's a mindset that has to go outside of the martial arts gym, into the school, and into everywhere. Society should be built on protecting our kids, protecting our future. And that's definitely something that I guess we didn't really think too much. I didn't really think too much as we were going to be going into in this conversation, but it definitely fit right in. It fit right into what we were talking about, and it fits right into the conversation that we had on the last episode going into this conversation. How do we prepare? Well, we train, and then how do we prepare for the unseen battle? Well, we train. We train physically, we train spiritually. I think it's so important to take a second to consider, what is mental health? Well, it's very much in alignment with spiritual health. Spiritual health. How are you spiritually? Where have you been feeding yourself, or are you starved? How do you feed yourself? Well, open his word, read the Bible. It's the bread of life. It's going to give you life. It's going to literally give you life. It's going to ground you in truth and in a purpose that's bigger than you. Open up the Word of God. Have you read your Bible today? Have you read your Bible today? If you haven't, that's okay. Go open it. You don't have to read the whole thing. You don't have to read a whole book or even the whole chapter. Go read some verses. Start in Ephesians. Ephesians is awesome.
Great book.
Incredible book. We've referenced it a few times on the podcast and on this episode today. Incredible book. Feed yourself. Train. Iron sharpens iron. Well, let some iron sharpen you today. Get better today. Get encouraged and get trained today by the Bible and by who you surround yourself with. Go find a community, whether it's a jiu-jitsu gym, whether it's a church, whether it's a gun range with some guys that have some experience, whatever it is. Find some people that are going to support you, challenge you, sharpen you. And we're pretty much out of time for this episode today.
Yeah, it's just flown by. This has been an important 2.0, unintentionally, I think, to Tuesday. I want to just say to the Minneapolis community, I'm so very sorry. I'm sorry to everybody that has to deal with this right now, because on every level it's wrong. On every level it was evil. You're defenseless, as we talked about, and you have a coward that comes in and attacks the innocent and then offs himself. These things are not going to stop. They're not.
Yeah.
We could take away every gun in the world. Cain, Abel, no guns. Right? No guns. You can go to Walmart tomorrow and buy a weapon. They sell them in packs of 20 for $25. You can go buy a baseball bat at a store. None of this stuff's ever going to go away. The gun gets the focus, and I understand that, but it's so very sad. And being prepared, having people in administrations, school administrations prepared. I mean, there's no other way to say this. We could sit here and song and dance it all day long, but yesterday is a tragic end result on something that was 100% avoidable. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
While we're promoting it here in Colorado and saying, go do it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So that's my wrap up.
All right. Well, I'll close this out.
Thank you.
Lord, thank you for another opportunity to sit down and have a conversation. And thank you for your freedoms. And thank you for the life and the purpose that you give us, Lord. We want to take a moment right now, and I want to pray for all the victims in Minneapolis, Lord. Lord, the families that have been struck by this tragedy, this evil, God, I pray that you would wrap them in your arms, wrap them in your love. I pray, God, that you let them feel a peace that passes understanding, because, God, there's got to be a lot of things that don't make sense, a lot of things right now, and a lot of those victims there's definitely lacking understanding. But I pray that you let your peace surround the situation and let it pass all understanding right now. We pray for those who were shot, who were injured. I pray, God, that you would let there be recovery, Lord, that you would let them continue to get the treatment that they need, and that you let them get better, Lord. And Lord, I pray, Lord, for all the victims. I pray for those 2 deaths, Jesus. I pray for those families, Jesus, that you would lead them closer to you, Lord. And I pray for this country, Lord. I pray for the mental illness, Lord, that is in this country, the depression, the confusion, the lies. I pray, Lord, that you'd lead us to you, Lord. Lead this country to you, Lord. Lead men and women to your purpose, to your calling, to truth, I pray, Lord. I pray that you'd let there be men and women out there right now, right here today, Lord, that are listening. Let them open the word. Let them open your word and hear from you, Jesus. It's all about you, Lord, and we want to make sure, Lord, that we live our lives according to your call, your purpose, Lord. I pray that you'd lead us in that, Lord, that you would walk with us and teach us to walk with you. We love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right.
Till next time.
Till next time.
I carry a gun.